Hello guys, welcome back to Boss Recap. Here we will explain the storyline of Slay the God Part 3, which you've all been waiting for. If you're just starting this series, make sure to watch the first part. I've placed the link in the description. Alright, no need to linger, let's get into the story. The scene begins in a house where a phone is ringing. A man named Xiao Ping, one of the team captains of the Night Watcher organization in another region, receives a late-night call from Team 136 Captain Chen Moai. Chen informs him that Divine Agent Michael has appeared and crossed paths with a member of the Church of the Ancient God, who was carrying dozens of ghost masks in his car. To prevent any unwanted incidents, Chen Moai decides to secure the Divine Agent, Lynchi. Meanwhile, Lynchi is still at the Hotel of Love with Lao Jiao. Here, it is revealed that since the appearance of the mysterious mist around the world, some children have been born with special abilities called Forbidden Ruin, also known as Forbidden Power. These abilities are divided into 6 levels: Vessel, Pond, River, Sea, Absolute, and Clean. Lynchi himself is likely at the Vessel level, but his case is unique. His 6 levels of Forbidden Ruin are represented by 6 doors with different symbols. His divine power makes him a divine agent, directly chosen by the Archangel Michael, granting him a portion of Michael's power. For divine agents, there are usually conditions they must fulfill at the request of their deity. However, Lynchi does not know why Michael chose him, and the conditions have never been mentioned. Instead, Lynchi asks if Lao Jiao possesses Forbidden Ruin or Divine Power, since Lao Jiao had easily slashed through the ghost masks before. Lao Jiao explains that people with Divine Power are extremely rare. As for himself, he has no Forbidden Ruin. He is merely a special soldier with combat experience, serving as a support and informant. His previous battles were fought using Forbidden Rust items, such as the Commandment Space, which creates red barriers. Even so, he is still considered a member of the Night Watchers. Having had enough of the discussion, Lynchi leaves Lao Jiao alone in the Hotel of Love. Of course, at the very least, Lao Jiao can still enjoy the rocking mattress in the room. Despite being rejected, Lao Jiao continues to follow Lynchi around. However, Lynchi shows little interest in learning about Lao Jiao's organization or its activities. To Lynchi, there are only 2 options: join the organization or end up as a dead fish that won't spill secrets. To persuade him, Lao Jiao reveals that he belongs to an official organization, an army known as the Night Watchers, formed to eliminate monsters and prevent the invasion of gods, which has become increasingly brutal in recent years. Thanks to the Night Watchers, the people of Daxia have been able to live in peace. This time, as a member of Team 136, Lao Jiao openly invites Lynchi to join. Most young people would be eager to become heroes, but Lynchi sincerely declines. He cannot join because of his family, his aunt, who has cared for him for decades, his younger brother, who waits for him at home, and his beloved dog, Blackie. His aunt's declining health concerns him, and his priority is protecting his small family. He has no desire to be a hero. His world revolves around those he loves. Even though Lynchi refuses to join the organization, he remains committed to one of his tasks, curing a patient named Goddess Nyx at the God's Mental Hospital. His mission progress has now reached 6%. Meanwhile, Lao Jiao, standing on the beach, receives a report from Vice Chairman Xiangnan. The Night Watchers are dealing with a new type of monster, and Lynchi must be secured. If he resists, they are authorized to use force. A short scene takes us to the underground aqueduct, where a member of the Church of the Ancient God is seen feeding a ghost mask. After devouring the food, the monster grows stronger, fiercer, and more terrifying. Back at Lynchi's house, After returning from school, he hears a familiar voice in the kitchen chatting with his aunt. It's Lao Jiao. Bringing Lao Jiao into his room, Lynchi asks how he found his house. It turns out that Lao Jiao placed a tracking badge in Lynchi's bag without him noticing. Lao Jiao then presents Lynchi with two choices. Take the money offered by the Night Watchers and join, or die here. But it's all a joke. According to Lao Jiao, if Lynchi truly doesn't want to join, he should leave as far away as possible. As a divine agent, he will attract dangerous enemies, including the Church of the Ancient God, a group of fanatics far worse than the Night Watchers. After seeing Lynchi, Lao Jiao is reminded of himself at a young age. When Lao Jiao was 6, his father passed away, leaving his mother to raise him alone. In the end, he left her to pursue his dream of becoming a soldier. Now, as a Night Watcher, he rarely sees her and feels like an unfilial son. Unlike Lynchi, who chooses to stay with his family, Lao Jiao believes Lynchi's decision is admirable. Since Lynchi refuses to join the organization, Lao Jiao promises to handle things for him. Before leaving, Lynchi hands Lao Jiao an envelope filled with money, perhaps as a parting gift. Frustrated by Lynchi's refusal, Lao Jiao can only hand him some snacks, which Lynchi happily accepts. Lynchi then asks Lao Jiao about his goals. If his dream was to become a soldier, what was his true purpose? Lao Jiao responds that he wants to become a general, covered in medals, and return to his village with honor so his mother can be proud of him. Before leaving, Lynchi returns the badge Lao Jiao nearly left behind. To Lao Jiao, that badge represents his life. Lynchi thanks him, acknowledging him as a hero to his family. Lao Jiao, in turn, wishes Lynchi success and many medals to be proud of. As he departs, Lao Jiao activates red barriers. Vice Chairman Xiang Nan reports that their team is tracking a new type of monster that escaped after battle. The monster is extremely dangerous, and Lao Jiao is ordered to withdraw. However, in the underground aqueduct, a powerful monster, the one their captain injured earlier, now stands before Lao Jiao. Xiang Nan warns him to leave immediately. Though injured, the monster remains a deadly threat at river level, far beyond Lao Jiao's ability to handle. But Lao Jiao, refusing to retreat, removes his earpiece, disconnects the call, and stands his ground as the monster attempts to break through the barrier. When the dark night falls, I will stand before millions, facing hardships and even sacrificing my life. That is the path Lao Jiao chooses. He is not only protecting millions of people, but also Lynchi's small world. On that rainy night, while civilians remain unaware, the Night Watchers engage in a bloody battle, ensuring their peaceful lives continue. Lao Jiao, weaving in and out of the monster's attacks, manages to land a few slashes, though none are fatal. However, with a single punch, the monster inflicts a deep wound on him. Lao Jiao realized that although his opponent possessed great strength, he had the advantage in terms of speed. However, in the end, the creature activated Forbidden Ruin 176. When a monster submits. This ability allowed the monster to create a unique domain. It could be seen that the battlefield began to change. The buildings around the area became irregular, as if the law of gravity no longer applied. Lao Jiao didn't expect that the creature he was facing was intelligent. Within this domain, his speed advantage was nullified, whereas the monster could move freely. The only option left for Lao Jiao was to engage in close combat and hold out until the captain and his teammates arrived as reinforcements. The Ghost Mask King, the creature he was facing, was previously fed by members of the Church of the Ancient God, which allowed it to evolve to the highest level.
他们不讲武德，必须训练176鬼灭上帝，在鬼灭上帝的方，来呀，臭八怪！把秃头队长他们赶到。
During the battle, Lao Jiao noticed that this version of Forbidden Ruin 176 was different. Aside from creating a chaotic domain, the creature could also manipulate the surrounding buildings at will. Lao Jiao's condition worsened when he received a heavy blow, severely damaging his ribs. Enduring the pain, he felt frustrated. If only he had an attack-type Forbidden Ruin ability, he could have finished off his enemies several times already. The one-sided battle continued. Meanwhile, at Lynchi's house, a bat arrived to deliver information about Lao Jiao. Without hesitation, Lynchi rushed to the location, despite his brother's warning not to go out due to the heavy rain. Lynchi knew that Lao Jiao was in grave danger, considering he was just an ordinary human facing an immensely powerful monster. After enduring severe beatings, Lao Jiao was now semi-conscious. In this state, he recalled his conversation with Lynchi about the Night Watcher's badge, which he had always considered a part of his life. In truth, the badge was not just a symbol of membership, but contained hidden power meant to be activated only in a truly desperate situation. That hopeless situation had now arrived. Determined, Lao Jiao activated the power within the badge, releasing a reddish energy known as the Guide of Gods and Demons. This power burned all the energy within his body and could only be used once. The force of the attack sent the Ghost Mask King flying. Coinciding with this, Lynchi arrived and effortlessly destroyed the red barriers. One of the Ghost Mask King's arms was severed after being hit by Lao Jiao's sword slash, who could now wield Forbidden Ruin 083, Moon Flash. Despite his pain, Lao Jiao was ecstatic. Finally, as an ordinary human, he could wield a high-level Forbidden Ruin ability. Lynchi was shocked to see Lao Jiao suddenly appear behind him. He wondered how Lynchi had entered the monster's domain. Lynchi simply replied, "It's easy, just look at it." And suddenly the domain collapsed. However, the battle wasn't over. The Ghost Mask King still had plenty of power and even regenerated his severed arm within seconds. For Lao Jiao, this was the perfect time to show off his skills. He asked Lynchi to watch closely as the attack he was about to perform was the coolest thing ever. True to his words, he executed the Moon Flash, severing the monster's left arm and head. To conclude the fight, Lao Jiao reached for a cigarette but realized he had lost his lighter. Fortunately, Lynchi had brought it, as Lao Jiao had left his at home. However, as Lynchi handed him the lighter, he noticed that Lao Jiao, who had stood so proudly moments ago, was now lying limp on the ground. The one-time use of the Guide of Gods and Demons energy had irreversible side effects. There was no way to recover from them. But Lao Jiao was content. He had finally experienced the power he had always envied. Before closing his eyes, he asked Lynchi to deliver his medal to his mother and asked if his last battle was cool. Lynchi confirmed, "Yes, uncle, you were the coolest person I've ever seen." Lao Jiao smiled at those words, believing that Lynchi would grow to be even cooler. Those were his last words before he died on that rainy night. Heroes often go unnoticed. No civilians knew about Lao Jiao's sacrifice. Lynchi, overwhelmed with emotions, felt anger and sorrow. Why did Lao Jiao have to sacrifice himself? Why couldn't he just live his life instead of pretending to be a hero? The fallen monster, still barely alive, lunged at Lynchi with its remaining strength. But that was a fatal mistake. Gripping the sword inscribed with Jiaokong Chung, Lynchi activated his divine power and executed a vertical slash, cutting the monster clean in half. This time, the Ghost Mask King was truly defeated. Meanwhile, Night Watcher member Hong Ying, the Lady of the Spear, rushed to Lao Jiao's location. Captain Xiang Nan had informed her that Lao Jiao's badge had not moved for several minutes. However, when the badge's position suddenly changed, she felt a glimmer of hope. But when she arrived, all she saw was a young boy carrying Lao Jiao's lifeless body. The boy solemnly declared, "I have escorted General Lao home in triumph." After the dark and stormy night, Lynchi was questioned by the Night Watchers about the incident. He explained that Lao Jiao had single-handedly defeated the Ghost Mask King using Forbidden Ruin 083. Moonflash. To honor Lao Jiao's sacrifice, Lynchi, who had previously been hesitant, decided to join the Night Watchers, but only on the condition that he would serve for 10 years. Normally, members were not allowed to resign, but an exception was made for Lynchi, provided he made significant contributions during his tenure. Shortly after, 2 military personnel visited Lynchi's house, delivering a handwritten letter to his aunt. The letter stated that Lynchi had enlisted and would not be able to return home for a while. His aunt, worried, wondered why he had made such a sudden decision, especially since he had only recently regained his sight. The soldiers reassured her that Lynchi was in excellent physical condition. When Lynchi later called her, she told him to eat well and take care of himself. The army had also provided financial support, but Lynchi insisted that the money be used for his sister's well-being instead. To ensure the safety of Lynchi's family, Chen Muya, the captain of Team 136, placed a protective barrier around their home. He explained that Lynchi staying there would only bring danger to his loved ones. Thus, joining the organization was the best course of action. With that, Lynchi and his new team set off for Team 136's headquarters, which was disguised as an ordinary roadside shop. Lynchi had 1 month before he would be sent to a training camp, a prerequisite to becoming a full-fledged Night Watcher. Until then, he would undergo rigorous training with Team 136, honing his skills in combat, agility, and strategy. His abilities as a divine agent made him special, and his existence could greatly impact the balance of the world. But before he could become a true protector, he needed to surpass his own humanity. Among the strongest beings in the world, 5 figures had long surpassed the level known as the Climb. Each ruled over their respective territories, wielding power just below that of the gods. One of them, the Supreme Commander of the Night Watchers, was an enigmatic figure, rarely seen in person. During a rigorous training session, Lynchi dodged a hail of rubber bullets under the guidance of Wen Qimo. As they trained, Wen Qimo explained that Forbidden Ruin abilities ranked below 100, such as Moonflash 083, previously used by Lao Jiao, and Yi 003, were both highly destructive and carried an extreme risk of death. However, Lynchi's power was different. Rather than a direct manifestation of destruction, he possessed only a fraction of divine power, enhanced perception, and heightened mental abilities. Even the Night Watchers had only limited records regarding Archangel Michael's abilities, which were said to include miracles. And yet, as Lynchi trained, it seemed as though he had received one. His progress skyrocketed, his skills advancing in leaps and bounds, so much so that he even surpassed the captain in earned points. It was an anomaly. The only area in which he struggled was long-range shooting. Despite wielding a sniper rifle capable of hitting an ant from 500 meters away, Lynchi could barely land a shot on target. If the Church of the Ancient Gods learns of Lynchi's abilities, they will stop at nothing to obtain him, Wen Qimo mused. Curious, Lynchi asked, "Who exactly is this Church of the Ancient Gods?" "They are our prey," Zhang Nan replied. He went on to explain that the church had 3 formidable backers, deities considered to be malevolent gods. Among them was Brahma, one of Hinduism's 5 supreme deities, the Norse goddess of death and chaos, Hela, who ruled over Niflheim, and lastly, Hades. Their goal was to seize control of the new world that had emerged following the arrival of the Mist. They actively sought individuals with forbidden ruin abilities and divine power to strengthen their foundation. Daxia, whose lands remained untouched by the Mist, was an easy target for their conquest. If that's the case, Lynchi asked, does that mean there are still people living in the Mist? He would soon learn the answer to that question. But one thing was certain. Now that the Church of the Ancient Gods had caught wind of his existence, they would either recruit him or eliminate him. Later that evening, the team gathered for dinner. Captain Chen Muya, the most skilled cook among them, prepared the meal. As usual, Hong Ying and Wen Qimo bickered over portions. Lang Xuan, the team's sniper, quietly passed a piece of meat to Lynchi, teasing that it might help improve his aim. As they ate, Chen Muya informed Lynchi that as a temporary member, he wouldn't receive official accommodations. Fortunately, Hong Ying offered to let him stay at her house for the time being. "After dinner, I'll take you there," Wen Qimo said. Hong Ying's got some training to do. As they walked through the dimly lit streets, Wen Qimo revealed a secret. Each member of the Night Watchers has their own way of grieving. Hong Ying said she was going to train, but in reality, she's carving Lao Jiao's tombstone. She's doing it in secret, probably because she doesn't want to worry the rest of us. Lynchi felt a pang of guilt. Witnessing someone's private sorrow felt like trespassing on their pain. But Wen Qimo simply shook his head. She's not alone. Right now, the other 136 team members are watching over her, too. Meanwhile, back at the God's mental hospital, the goddess Nyx, currently undergoing treatment, was well aware of her son's turmoil. As they walked along the beach, Lynchi confided in her. "I knew someone who made great sacrifices for people he barely knew," he admitted. "And now, I find myself making choices because of him. I want to return the favor, but I can't." Nyx smiled gently. "You don't need to replace him, Lynchi. He made those choices so you could live your own life." Wanting to help, she reached for her bracelet, only to realize it was missing. "Ah, I remember now," she murmured. "A girl in the asylum took it." Intrigued, Lynchi immediately headed to the 3rd floor of the hospital where the mysterious girl resided. When he arrived, he found a letter. As he opened it, the room suddenly descended like an elevator. The letter contained a warning. "Do not reveal this place, or you'll be in serious trouble." The girl also mentioned that she had borrowed the bracelet but promised to return it once they met again. The elevator stopped. Lynchi stepped into a dark hallway lined with abandoned holding cells. A disturbing noise echoed from one of them. As he approached, he found a monstrous prisoner, the Ghost Mask King, a creature he had previously executed. A system notification appeared before his eyes. This entity is a mythological creature slain by Lynchi. He has the authority to determine its fate. Lynchi had 2 choices. 1. Destroy the creature's soul, erasing it from existence. 2. Instill it with fear, gradually increasing its terror level. Once it reached 60%, he could enslave it. Without hesitation, Lynchi struck the monster with divine power, severing one of its legs. As he continued his assault, the fear gauge rose. At 70%, the system informed him that the creature was now his to command. But as Lynchi sifted through its memories, he made a chilling discovery. The creature had evolved due to sustenance provided by a mysterious figure from the Church of the Ancient Gods, the same force responsible for the riot that led to Lao Jiao's death. Lynchi had initially considered using the monster as a nurse for the hospital's patients, but now, knowing it had played a role in his mentor's death, he made his choice. With one final strike, he crushed its skull and erased its soul. Back in training, Chen Muya began teaching Lynchi the Night Watcher's foundational sword technique, the Star Sword. Unlike divine techniques, swordsmanship required patience and discipline. Lao Jiao was an exceptional swordsman, Muya said. Even without a Forbidden Ruin ability, he rivaled our captain. But I don't want you to merely imitate him, Lynchi. You have divine power. Develop your own style.
练出属于自己的刀术。我要练出我自己的刀法。我懂了。
Lynchi's sword was knocked from his hands. As he picked it up, he noticed Lao Jiao's name carved into the hilt. Something inside him clicked. Divine power surged through his veins. With a single swing, he shattered the captain's wooden sword. I won't forget Lao Jiao, Lynchi declared. I'll combine his teachings with my divine techniques. And so, the battle continued. Elsewhere, in a quiet school, a blood-curdling scream rang out. A student cowered in the shadows, watching in horror as a schoolgirl, her eyes vacant, her movements unnatural, gnawed on her teacher's neck. A new nightmare was unfolding. And that's where we'll leave it for now. Things are getting intense, and there's still so much more to uncover. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Boss Recap for more epic stories. See you in the next one.